Hey guys, Shadowhunt005 back with another Pokemon video, and today we will be talking about the Team Up pre-release as it was initially released, or the pre-releases were today. Unfortunately, the local one that is to me, I was unable to go to today. However, I do plan on going to next Saturday. So because of that, it's not going to be a pack opening video like I do with every pre-release that I can go to. But just to keep up with the pre-release theme, I thought we would still have a look at the pre-release and at the promos. So I did a promos video shortly before Lost Thunder came out, and you guys seemed to enjoy it, so I thought I'd do it again this time. And the 4 cards we have as promos are Jirachi, Nidoqueen, Charizard, and Zapdos. So we'll be going over each one of those in this video and what they do. And I'll even give my opinion on how I think these cards, how I rate these cards in their usefulness. So we'll start off with Zapdos. It's a lightning Pokemon. It's basic, 110 HP, 1 attack which only costs 1 lightning energy, so it's pretty good, called Assault Thunder, does 10 plus damage. If this Pokemon becomes your active this turn, this attack does 70 more damage. It's also unaffected by weakness, so anything that has a lightning weakness, unfortunately this thing is not doing double damage, but if it's being brought in via something like the Switch, Guzma, any way to get this from the bench to the active, you're doing 80 damage. It's got a retreat cost of 2, which if you're looking at, say, a skateboard or something, put that down to 1. Weakness to lightning, so it's actually weak against itself, ironically. Again, not so much an issue, because if it came up against itself, the attack doesn't affect weakness. But any other lightning Pokemon, it's weak to. If you're running an electric deck, you run a mirror electric deck, this thing's actually weak to it. It's resistant to fighting, so that's kind of good. But unfortunately, I'd probably say this is the worst of the 4, because not much damage unless you're swapping it out every turn. You're either wasting an energy or you're having to use something to pull it back. And unless you're working it with something like the Magnezone, it's not going to be cost effective. So yeah, I'd say this is probably the worst of them. Still an okay card, but probably not going to be used so much. Going on to Jirachi, which is probably the 3rd one here, or joint 2nd. It's a metal type with HP of 70, another basic, with the ability Wishing Star. Now it's really the ability that's making this card better than the Zapdos, because its attack with 1 colorless, 1 metal energy, slap does 30 damage, not really very good. It's the ability that's really going to help, which is Wishing Star. If this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, you may use this ability. Once during your turn, before your attack, you may look at the top 5 cards in your deck, choose 1 trainer card you find there, reveal it, and put it into your hand. Shuffle the other cards back into the deck. This Pokemon is now asleep. Now, immediately, there's obviously the issue. You're putting this Pokemon to sleep. How's that going to be helpful? Now, as I said with Zapdos, we talked about the escape board. Escape board's going to be much more useful for Jirachi. Okay, you got it in the active. Use the ability. Get that trainer into your hand. And bear in mind, it's trainer, not supporter or anything specific. You can have a supporter, you can have a item, you can have a tool, or you can have a stadium. Any of those, perfect. But of course it goes to sleep. Well, the escape board, it makes the retreat costs go down from 1 to 0. So it's free retreat. And you can still retreat while asleep. That's why the escape board is actually pretty good. Now, if you're also running this card in Expanded, you could use something like the Steel Shelter, which stops your metal type Pokemon from being affected by special conditions. Or you can use Chaos Tower if you have it the right direction, because it does make a difference with that card. Then you can stop your Pokemon from being asleep or paralyzed, which makes it really good for the Expanded. The actual attack of this, not very good, but you know, as I said, you use it for the ability. You can get a free retreat if you use the tool on it. Otherwise, it's only going to cost you 1 to get it back, and then the next turn you can bring it back out if you got something that again requires a free retreat or not much of a retreat, and recycle. Now, moving on to our number 2 spot, I would say Nidoqueen. It's a psychic, and as I've said many a time, I prefer playing psychic decks. It's got 160 HP. Yes, it's a stage 2, but its ability, I would say, is pretty good. Its ability is Mother's Call. Once during your turn, before your attack, you may search your deck for a Pokemon, except a GX or EX, reveal it and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. Now that's really good, especially if you're trying to find specific evolutions. You know, you're not trying to use the timer ball. It also lets you look through your deck, and it's also good, but less good if you're looking for basics. You might as well just use the Nest Ball or something like Professor Elm's Letter. Professor Elm's Letter, I think, would actually run really well with this deck to get your Nidorans out, get your Nidorenas and your Nidoqueens out as soon as you can, or Rare Candy for Nidoqueen, using Ultra Ball as well. And my personal opinion is you'd be running this with a Nidoking deck. As we'll discuss in a later video, Nidoking gets powered up by Nidoqueen, and Nidoqueen also gets powered up by Nidoking with its attack, which is a 3 colorless attack, Power Lariat. Now, I'm pretty sure this isn't the first time we've seen this attack. It does 10 damage and does 50 more damage for each evolution Pokemon on the bench. So basically, for each of your Nidoqueens and your Nidokings on the bench, you're doing 50 more damage every time. So for the 3 colorless energy, you're looking at 260 damage maximum, which is pretty decent and will knock out most Pokemon. And if you've got something like Choice Band on there, you probably knock out most GXs as well. Now, some of the problems it faces, it's weak to Psychic. You find this a lot with the Psychic decks, they're weak to themselves. Just like Zapdos is weak to Lightning, you're running this in a mirror match or anything, and you're only hurting yourself. Now, its resistance also is none. No resistance to any other types, so no matter what, anything's going to hit it with normal attacks, or it's going to be the Psychics that do the double damage. It's also a heavy retreat cost. You generally find this with Nidoqueen and Nidoking. You know, 3 retreats, that's a lot of energy. That's the amount of energy for its attack. But I still think that Mother Call ability, running this in a Nido deck, is still going to be pretty good, especially for pre-release. And moving on to our number 1 spot, this card I think not only works well with the pre-release, but will work pretty well beyond that. Charizard, it's a fire type, it's got 150 HP, stage 2 obviously. The attack is really good, but it gets even better with this ability. The ability is Addicting Drive. Once during your turn, before you attack, you may put 2 damage counters on this Pokemon. Ouch. If you do, search your deck for 2 fire energy cards and attach them to this Pokemon. Then shuffle the deck. Okay, so why do I think that's good? Why do I think taking 2 damage to get 2 fire energy is really good? Well, it's got the continuous blaze attack. For those same 2 fire energy, you are doing 30 plus damage. Discard all fire energy cards from this Pokemon. This attack does 50 more damage for each card you discard this way. Okay, so you've got the 2 that are coming on from the ability. You attach 1 for your turn anyway. That's 3 fire energy. So that's 180 damage because 3 times 50, 150, plus the 30, 180. That's pretty good in itself. Why do I think this is even better and expanded? Well, you know, you're searching out your 2 fire energy, but you can also use a burning energy in expanded. What does the burning energy do? Well, if it is discarded, it comes right back on the Pokemon. Okay then, so you're at least guaranteeing the 1 fire energy every time. So the continuous blaze will always do at least the extra 50 damage. So it's always going to do a minimum of 180. Okay, you're able to find your second burning energy. Now it can do even more damage. You know, you're doing 50 more damage. If you can get full burning energies on this, well, even if you get 2 burning energies on it, you will no longer need to use the ability. You're no longer taking the damage, yet you're using that continuous blaze to do 180 each turn, and then you're adding 50 for each of the energies that you attach onto it. Its weakness is water, which, you know, is normal. You'd expect that from a fire type. It's not weak to itself, so that's always good. Its resistance, it doesn't have any. That's a downside for this Pokemon. And it's got a 2 retreat cost, which is about average. But I think this card is actually good, especially for expanded, as I keep saying. And as I've said before, I play a lot of expanded, so I would hope to get this card and play against my friends with a deck built around this. Anyway, that's all for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, think about leaving a like, hit the subscribe button if you're new, and until next time, see you guys.